Right. Okay. So thank you everyone and thanks for joining in the time. So I think in spite of being Sunday, so you have took your time. Uh, yeah, is my voice is clear, right? Okay.
Yes, it's clear, sir.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining the session. And today we'll be discussing about the Power BI training course. So actually in the last few days, you have been seeing like most of the messages are popping out like we have a demo schedule on this 10:30 a.m. So in spite of busy with Sunday and also to this Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations, and I appreciate everyone for joining the time in time for attending this Power BI training course. And with the blessings of Lord Ganesha and happy belated Vinayaka Chavithi to everyone. And without wasting any time, I would like to go with the Power BI training course. So we have a different type of the audience over here. Like we have many audience like who have experience into the non-IT background, and somewhere some people are into the government sector where they have been tried for some different government jobs and they are showing interest towards learning this Power BI course. And we have many people like those who are from, we have some set of audience who are from the non-technical background, maybe into the science background. We have some freshers who are attending this session. So I promise you at the end of this particular session, you'll be able to understand what exactly the Power BI is and what is the importance of learning the Power BI. Where is the area where you can use this Power BI tool? And what is the reason this Power BI is becoming a powerful business intelligence tool in this data science? So let me go through the presentation. I will give a broad introduction what exactly the word Power BI is. So when you ask anyone before going, I have some other introductions that I will be displaying at the end of the session. So, right. So if you ask me the first question, what is Power BI? The only word which comes from my mind is the Power BI is a business intelligence tool. So what is meant by business intelligence? So Power BI is a tool which works on the data. So suppose if you are into any business, you can see the data is growing day by day, right? That means a lot of, because when you see at the present scenario, the generation of the data is growing rapidly day by day. So what is the reason behind? When you look at this slide, according to the latest estimates, 328.7 million terabytes of the data has been created every day. So what is the reason behind this? This Power BI is a tool which works on this particular data. From this particular, by working on this particular data, it will create some interactive, some interesting visuals, and these visuals or the reports will be sharing to the client. You can ask me, is there is a demand for the Power BI in the market? So as long as there is a demand in the data, there will be a demand for a tool like Power BI, which efficiently works on this particular data and create some meaningful insights from this particular data. And the client will use these meaningful insights, which will be represented in the form of reports, which may be will be providing this information maybe in terms of dashboards. So when you look at the progressive, like how data is progressing year on year, when you look at the 2010, you can see the data is 1 terabyte. 2011, 2015, 2016, there is a rapid increase in the data we can see year on year. But when I closely observe this figure, in the year of from the 2019, the generation of the data has picked up very rapidly. So what is the reason behind it? Can anyone guess the question? Like any blue moon answer from your side? Because in the year of 2019, the world has experienced a drastic situation called as COVID pandemic. In the COVID pandemic, as due to the lockdown situation, the hourly spending on the internet has increased very rapidly. Many people are looking to online shopping. They are looking to the people's of last hourly spending of the internet has been increased because you see whatever the click that you click on the internet, it will create some data at the back end. You see 2019, there is a rapid pickup of the data. Like you can see by year of 2025 and all over the world, there will be 170 terabytes of the data will be generated annual. So this data will be very useful. Who will use? A person who's running the business, the data is a asset for him. Yes, it's very simple, right? Suppose I'm conducting some demo. So I invite everyone. At the end of the day, if I want to communicate with you, so what I will expect from you? I will expect like if you have provided me a phone number, your contact email ID, that I will store in my particular data, or it may share in the Excel sheet. Then I will be communicating with you for the further whether you want to join the course. It's a simple institute is depending upon the data. You can see a very vast organization like Flipkart, Amazon, where in the minutes, in the seconds, some thousand lakhs of transactions are going on. So based upon by recording this transaction, they will get an idea. So what is the momentum of that particular product base? So what the products, which type of the sales are increasing? How much the customers are doing shopping for particular product? What products are demand in the market? How they can estimate by looking at the data. So that's why ranging from the maybe hospital sector, maybe education, maybe aviation, maybe at any you can any hospitalization. So any industry is depending upon the data. Now after like when you look at the India, like after when the BJP government is coming to the picture, so we opted for the digitalization. So as because previously everything was a paper, like it was depend upon the manual work, right? If you go on to do it like apply the passport, you need to stand in the lines, everything was manual. But now moving to the digitalization, everything, the data is generated at the back end. So every organization is depending upon the data. You can see, as it's clearly mentioned, the data is increasing rapidly day by day. And every organization is looking, every company is looking, they have the data. There is a need of a tool which will work on this particular data and which will create some insights from this particular data by making some simple visuals, by making some simple reports, by making some simple dashboards. And these dashboards should be very, very userly friendly that a non-technical guy can able to understand, can derive the information by looking at this visual. And this work is going to done by the Power BI, which is a very user-friendly tool, which works on this particular data and creating some beautiful and amazing visuals that will add a lot of value to the client to improve his business. And one more thing, if I say the first word that came into my mind is, what is Power BI? I told Power BI is a business intelligence software. What is meant by business intelligence software? In the name Power BI, BI itself indicates business intelligence. So my dear students, you need to understand what exactly the word business intelligence, because it is performed, it is a business intelligence software. Power BI is a business intelligence software. So it will not make any complete sense if you not understand the word business intelligence. So what exactly the word business intelligence is? Any organization which do the business, any organization which do the business, it will collect the data, right? So in order to collect the data, where they will store that particular data? Suppose there is an organization which is very small organization, like a very small organization which is having the employees more than 1,000 or 5,000. They will maintain small database. They will store in the Excel sheet. But when you look at the business organizations where they have lakhs of employees, where the lakhs of transactions are growing at every second, they will store the data in some databases. Can you name any databases? It may be SQL databases. It may be Oracle databases. They will store that data in that particular data source. So I use the word data source. What is meant by data source? The place where they will store the data, we call it as data source. Excel is your data source. SQL is your data source. And it will store large amount of the data where SQL and Oracle, we call it as database. So many organizations, first the business intelligence is a process where we can collect the data and we will analyze this particular data. So after any business, after collecting, storing the data, what is the reason they will store the data? I'm storing the data. Then I will analyze the particular data. So how many people are attended the organization, this demo? How many are interested to learn this Power BI? So whether how many, what is the technical background? How much experience they have? How many freshers are attending this particular demo? This is the analysis that I will do. And next, we'll transform this particular data in a business intelligence transform. Suppose I ask you, please give your number, like what is your location? Some of the people are attending from Hyderabad. Some people will type it as HYD, Hyderabad. Some will type it as Hyderabad, HYDRABAD, Hyderabad. Sometime to click will try in different. Suppose I ask to give the pin code, some people give as P.C. Some will store as pin code. So this, we call it as unorganized data. So in the business intelligence, there will be process, we call it as transformation of the data. That means the data will not be coming in organized manner. So if I will give you like, what is your name? Somebody will give the first name, like my name is Janardhan Patipaka. I may start Patipaka Janardhan and Janardhan Patipaka. I may give Janardhan.P.Janardhan. So it is up to my mind. But at the end of day, I need to structure the data, because in order to perform the business intelligence, your data should be in a very, very, very organized manner. So business intelligence is a process of collecting the data from the data sources, analyzing the particular data, transforming the data, the unstructured data into structured data. So who will do this process? There is a called as business intelligence tool like Power BI. With the help of the tool, with the help of some methods, with the help of some techniques, we will collect, analyze, and transform the particular data. So here we are discussing the tool. The Power BI is a master tool of the business intelligence, where it will collect the data, analyze the data, transform the particular data. After transforming the data, it will connect the data, convert the data into some valuable and meaningful information. Suppose if I store like 1,000 customers, you have the data of 1 lakh students, suppose 1 lakh members. If I store it in a table and I will give it to you, and I will say, like which customer, what is the highest sales of that particular, you have 1 lakh products. So I say, what is the, I have given, we have stored the 1 lakh product data in an Excel. If suddenly I come and ask you, which product is having highest sales? Then by looking at this table for 1 lakh rows, it will take a lot of time to analyze the data. But by using the Power BI tool, if you make some graphs or bar graphs, then you can see based on ascending or descending, by looking at the visual, you can directly say, yes, this product might be having the highest sale. So we will give the valuable information or meaningful information to the clients by giving some important graphs or dashboards or some reports, we call it with the help of this business intelligence tool. So who will use this particular data? So the data source, who will give the data source? The company will give you the data source. Okay, they will give the data. Suppose if Flipkart is a company, they will give you, once you join the company, they will give the data source, they will data to you. So you will take the business tool by using the business intelligence tool like Power BI. You will collect the data, you will analyze the data, and you will structure the data. From that, you will create some meaningful informations. And this meaningful informations, this may be in the part of some graphs, some visuals, or some reports. And this information will be stored to whom? We'll be sharing this information to the clients. To the client. Client, who is your client? Client is none other than the client, the person who have provided you the data. And once you give the information in the form of some visuals, he will use that information to improve his business process, to improve his decision making, how to optimize his business, how to increase his business, whether he want to venture into the new areas, what type of products he need to sell. And some products are not, there is no sales for particular products in the last 5 years. They will vanish that sale. They will start produce that product. So this type of business analysis they will be doing when you, with the help of, when you provide the report to the client. So Power BI, we can say simple business intelligence. It is a business intelligence software where you will collect the data, analyze the data, transform the data, and convert the data into the valuable information. We can share it to the client, and the client will use that information to improvise his business. This is called as it is, as this business intelligence, this process is done by using this tool Power BI. That's why the Power BI, we call it as business intelligence software. Now you can understand what are the key components of business intelligence. What is the business intelligence process generally look like? The first process, we call it as data collection. I already said you need to first, the client will provide you the particular data. Either maybe your data source. Data source is nothing but the place where you store the data. Client will store the data. So first process, you will collect the data. The process of connecting the data from either data source or either from database, we call it as data collection. So business intelligence, the first process is data collection. Second process is data processing and data transformation. I already said the client may be giving the data in not an organized manner. He will give you the unstructured data. It's your duty to process that particular data and to transform that particular data. The unorganized data should be converted into organized data. Then after converting the data into organized manner, you will do the data analysis. So you need to analyze your particular data. So for the collection, for this data processing, and for transforming your particular data, for collecting the data source in the Power BI, we have a software called as Power Pivot. Power Pivot is a component of the Power BI which helps you to connect the data, which helps you to convert, to process the data, and to transform your data. That means unstructured data will be converted into a structured data. Then the third step, we call it as data analysis. See, suppose the business, like when you go for some big business, like suppose DMart or like to the peoples of Amazon, where the transactions are happening in a very rapid, fast pace. So in order to analyze the data will be stored in hundreds of tables. So you need to build a relationship between the tables. You need to analyze that particular tables. So that process, we call it as data analysis. In Power BI, we have one component called as Power Pivot. The Power Pivot is a component of the Power BI which will perform the data analysis process. After analyze your data, you have collected the data, you have converted the unstructured data into structured data. You have analyzed the particular data. After analysis completed, and you need to provide the data which is in the tabular format, you need to build some interactive visuals. This process, we call it as data visualization. Representing the data which is there in the tabular format in some important visuals or reports, we call it as data visual. This process is called visualization. Depending upon whether you can build some donut chart, you can build a bar chart, or you can build a pie chart, depending upon the business use case. And after building this process, we call as from the data, the process of building the visuals, we call it as data visualization. In Power BI, we have a beautiful component called as Power View.
Power View is a component of Power BI which will perform this data visualization process. That means it helps to create some meaningful, some amazing visuals. This data visualization is carried by Power View, which is a component of Power BI. So after creating some visuals, different visuals you club together and you create some report. And this we call it as reporting. So from different visuals, you club the visuals and report the reports. And from the different reports, you will take the visuals and you will pin it to the dashboard. This process we call it as this is called as dashboard. Dashboard is nothing but we have 3 or 4 reports prepared. From these 3 or 4 reports, we'll take some visuals and you will prepare a dashboard which will give the holistic business performance. Suppose if you are running the company, like if CEO, they're not interested to look at the reports. They want to see the business as a whole. In a single dashboard, they want to see how finance is running, and how HR department is running, how the recruitment team is running, and how he want to see how the different departments are performing. So in order to see this holistic view of the business, then he is interested to see the dashboards. But specifically, you want to see only HR department is performing, then he will go for the reporting. This is the difference between the reporting. Reporting content, the group of visuals clubbed together, will prepare the report. From the different reports, you will take some visuals and you will prepare the dashboard. So this is called as business intelligence. As already said, the Power BI is a business intelligence tool. Here for the data collection and data processing, I said we have Power Query, which will collect the data and which will transform your data. To analyze the data, we have Power Pivot software in the Power BI. To make the visuals, to make the reports, to make the dashboards, we have the Power View. So these are the 3 components which are there in the Power BI, and each component will be discussing nearly about 15 hours of the classes. We'll be discussing in the coming classes of Power BI. Now, when you look at the Power BI in a single definition, we call it as, I say Power BI is a business intelligence software. But when you ask to some other one, they will say, yes, Power BI is a ETL trust software. What is the meaning of ETL? So you might be seeing some technical background students, I'm ETL developer. He's saying, what exactly the word is ETL? The ETL means the full form of ETL. E stands for extraction. What is meant by extraction? Is nothing but connecting to the data from the data source. We call it as extraction. Suppose you are doing it in the Power BI, your data is stored in Excel or your data is stored in the SQL databases. Getting the data from the Excel data source into your Power BI desktop, we call it as extraction. And what is the T stands for? The T stands for transformation. I already said, client will not provide you the data which is ready-made data. It is your duty to transform the data which is unstructured data into a structured data. The T stands for transformation. And once your data is transformed, once your data is converted to the structured format, and what is the L stands for? L stands for loading. Then you will load this structured data into the Power Pivot. So what is the extraction of data, transformation of the data, loading of the data? This is done by the Power Pivot. I already said the Power Pivot is a ETL software that will perform this ETL software. Okay, that's why as it is doing the ETL process, it is extracting the data, transforming the data, loading the data. That's why some people are calling Power BI as the ETL software. Then some may call it a Power BI as data analysis software. I already said what is meant by data analysis. Suppose you connect the data to a different databases, like you have hundreds of thousands of tables. So analyzing that particular hundreds of thousands, lakhs of the tables becomes very hard for you to analyze that particular data. So as a Power BI developer, what you will do? You look at what is the common relationship between the tables. You try to build a relationship between the tables. We have many relationships called one-to-one relationship, one-to-many relationship, inactive relationship, active relationship. Those we will be discussing in 4 to 5 hours of the classes in the coming classes. So you will build a relationship between the tables to analyze this particular data. To analyze this particular data, you will model the data. That will be called as data modeling. So this data analysis, to do this data analysis, we have the Power Pivot. The Power Pivot is a software within the Power BI which will perform the data analysis. That's why some people are calling it as data analysis software. Now, after data analysis completed and your data is converted into the structured data, what is the third step? From the tables, you need to create the visuals. So depending upon either you create some amazing decomposition, we have more than 200, like 150 different type of the visuals you can make it by using them depending upon either stacked up column chart, or you can go for decomposition tree, funnel chart, bar chart, and those visuals you will be preparing. And this called this, that's why where you can do in within the Power BI, we have already said there is a software called as Power View, where you can visualize your particular data, where you can build the visuals. That's why the Power BI, we call it as visualization software. And from the group of the visuals, you'll be preparing the reports, right? Different type of the visuals are clubbed into clubs and will create the reports from it. That's why some people we call it as reporting software. And it is performing all the process of, it is performing the ETL process. The Power Pivot is doing the ETL process. That's why they're called as ETL software. With the help of Power Pivot, it is doing data analysis. That's why they are called as data analysis software, Power BI. With the help of the Power BI, we are creating some important visuals. That's why they are calling it as a visualization software. With the help of Power BI, we are making, with the help of these visuals, we are creating the reports. That's why some people are calling it as reporting software. And all this process comes under the business intelligence or data analysis. That's why the Power BI, we call it as data analytics software. And all this process, we call it as business intelligence. That's why the Power BI is called as business intelligence software. After the demo, if anybody asks what is Power BI, you need to understand, you need to see what is business intelligence, what is ETL process, what is data analysis, why it is called visualization software, why it is called reporting software. It's not simply that coming and starting without any technical knowledge and without any background and directly working on the Power BI. It will not make any sense for you. And you cannot analyze the topics in in-depth level. Okay, this is called as introduction to the Power BI. Now moving, let it be forward. Like I was saying, with the help of the Power BI, it is a reporting software. You'll create some visuals. See, suppose if you create this bar chart in the form of bar, when suddenly I will ask you which is having highest sales, like out of category A to F, you can directly say, yes, this is having the red color bar. The category A is having the highest sales. How you are interpreted it. So when you represent the data in the visuals, the meaningful information when represented the visuals, it will be very catchy for your client. By looking at, he can say, yes, company category A is having the highest sales. In the same way, by looking at this, we have the different regions over here. If I ask which region is having the highest sales, directly looking at these visuals, yes, this is having the largest sales region, 45%. You can directly say the North America is having the highest sales. But same data, if I be provided in the tabular format, you need to go and check each and every row. Here we have only category F. There are 6 to 7 visuals. What have we if we provide the same data in the tabular format, which contains thousands of rows? That's why the company will store the data in the rows or in the columns. But by using the Power BI, we will convert that particular data. We'll build some important visuals and we'll share it to the client. By looking at the client, he can say, yes, which is having a highest sales, where his business is doing going down, and what are the strategies for him to improvise his business. That's why with the help of the Power BI, we are making the important visuals, or which we are making some important reports, amazing reports. That's why the Power BI, we call it as a reporting software, or we call it as a visualization software. With a single this slide, you can understand what is the importance of representing the data in the form of the visuals and how it is useful for the clients. Now you can see, you need to understand one thing, how the data analysis process will be. Okay, how the data analysis process generally runs. So when you look at this, sounds somewhat technical, but let us split this, the data analysis software, in a very layman language that a person from the non-technical background can understand this slide. When you look at this slide, we have called as OLTP. What is meant by OLTP? Where the companies where they will store their particular data, we call it as OLTP database. Online transaction processing, where they record their transaction. Example, Excel is called as OLTP, or SQL Server, where they will record their business transaction, where they will record their business data. We call it as OLTP. So while recording, the companies, I already said they will not follow a standard procedure. If in the case of like Excel, I already said, if I want to give the details, I want you to give the address. Like somebody might be giving only house number in the different format. Somebody will forget to give the pin code. Somebody give Telangana. They will give a TG. Somebody will give the full name. So this we call it as OLTP. That means in the OLTP, the data, the place where they will store that particular data, we call it as OLTP database. On this particular OLTP, we will perform the ETL process. What is meant by ETL process? We'll extracting the data. E stands for extraction, T for transformation, L for loading. That means extracting means connecting the data to this OLTP database. We call it as extraction. I already said in OLTP, the data will be maybe in unorganized format, and we will transform the data which is there in the unorganized manner into a organized data, that we call it as transformation. After you are being enough confident that your data was very structured, then you will be loading this particular data into your Power BI desktop. So this process, we call it as ETL. What is a software which will do this this type of the process in Power BI? That we call it as Power Query. Power Query is a software which will perform this process, ETL process. Now the OLTP will be this database. We call it, after transforming ETL process, after doing the ETL processing, we call the database as OLAP database. This OLAP database means it contains the structured data. It contains the structured data. So we will create. So why will not create the report? Suppose the report will be stored in the OLTP. It is never recommended to create the reports directly from OLTP database. So once the client will provide the data from the directly connecting to the SQL server, if you create the reports, your viewers will grow wrong, because you're not enough confident that you don't know how they are stored the data. It is the duty for the Power BI developer to check the credibility of the data, whether there are any null values are there, whether there are duplicates, whether they follow the standardized process for storing the data. Those type of ETL transformation you need to do by using ETL software. That means ETL process by using Power Query, and convert the data OLTP database into a OLAP database. From this OLAP database, it contains the structured data. From this OLAP database, you will create the reports. How you will create the reports? With the help of visual, you create some visuals and you create the reports. And these reports contain some actionable information. What is meant by actionable information? That means by looking at that particular visuals, he will make some business decision. What is my next strategy to be followed in the next year? These products are having the great demand, then he will try to increase the production cost of that particular product. He can see in the last 4 or 5 years, some products are bleeding, there are negative sales, then he will stop that producing that products. When there is a lot of products that start accumulating, your sales is not, you will create some type of offers. Like in the last day, 50% offer, 40% offer. They will create some business decision so that they'll try to liquidate their products. They will create some offers like one by one, buy one, buy to get offers. So those are called as actionable information. And those reports, once the Power BI developer will create the report, will share the report to the clients. And clients will use that information and how to proceed with the business. So this process is called as data analysis software. When I was attending the interview, we were asked what is the difference between OLTP and OLAP database. A simple question you have asked, why you are not directly connecting to the OLTP database and why you are connecting to the only OLAP database. You can directly say OLTP database, the data is not in a structured format. If you create some visuals and the visuals might be going wrong. And in order to understand that information, I will quote a very simple example. By looking at that example, you can understand what is the importance of structured data, what is the importance of unstructured data, what is the reason we are building only visuals with the help of the structured data. Moving on to the next slide, these slides give the information and make you to understand what is the difference between the structured and unstructured data. See, this is called as, when you look at, I want the information of the country, I want the sales of that particular country, how much sales it is making. The country is United States. See, some people like, see, United States, they are giving the full name, it's okay. But some of the people, if I want is the United States, they are typing it as US. Some people are typing United States, USA. Some people are typing it as U.S.A. And some people are going United States of America. And when you look at all these 5 values, all these 5 different text functions, they are representing the name of the country. But when I ask what is the country, what is the sales of United States, usually what is the value? 100 plus 200, 300, 400 plus 500. When you club all these values, that will be the states of United States. If I try to give the United Kingdom, some people are typing it as UK. Some are typing it as United Kingdom. You know, United States, US, USA, U.STA, they are the name of same country. But when you load same data into the Power BI, the Power BI don't know. They will consider United States as one country, US as another country, USA as one other country, U.S.A as another country, and they will give the visual like this. So for all different visuals, you will be getting the data in the different format, right? Now, in the same way, when you look at this, when I store the data in the uniform manner, for all this country's data, I'm providing it as United States and I'm giving the sales. This is called as storing the data in the structured format. United Kingdom, I'm mentioning it as a full name. Now, with the help of this, I'm creating the visual. See, United States, 1200, it will club all the values of United States, 500, 400, 300, 200 plus 100, like 1500. So you have got the correct value. This is the sales of United States. But when you look at UK, what is the value? Like 100 plus 200, 300, you got the value. This is the sales of United Kingdom, right? That is the way, because this is the visual corrective representation of the visuals. In the OLAP database, the names of the countries stored like this. When you directly visualize, will you say with the help of unstructured data, if you build the visuals and if you share it to the client, then client will go panic. I have only country to the people of this sales and you are representing the data in the 5 to 6 UK, USA, and that means you are not performed your ETL process correctly. You have not used the menu-based options which are there in the Power Pivot. And what is the final output? The final output will be reflected in the end report, where your client will be very disappointed by your performance. That is the reason of understanding, storing the data in an organized format, and hope by looking at this, you can able to understand what is the importance of the storing the data in a structured format. Next, moving to data analysis, like I was saying, like Power BI desktop, Power BI service, like I have seen till now, we have discussed this part, Power BI desktop. When you look at the Power BI, when you say the Power BI is a business intelligence software, and some people are calling it as Power BI is their name, it is a collection of the software. Why they are connecting? Because when you look at the Power BI, we call it of the first one, we call it as Power BI desktop. This Power BI desktop, they are calling it as developmental software. Why they are calling it as development software? You need to understand, because you will develop the report in the Power BI desktop only. The developmental phase of your project or report will be carried out in the Power BI desktop. That's why the Power BI desktop is called as developmental software. When you split the components of the Power BI desktop, it consisting of Power Query, it consisting of Power Pivot, it consisting of Power View. What is meant by Power Query? Is the Power Query is a ETL software, right? I already said where you can extract the data, where you can transform your unstructured data into structured data, and where you can load your data. So this is called as Power Query component. So once you join this course with the 15 hours of the discussion, 15 hours of the classes, we'll try to focus on the Power Query and how to shape your data. There are hundreds or 150 menu-based options which are there in the Power Query tab, and will be touched each and every option which is there in the Power Query and how it will be useful for the transforming the particular data. Next, in the Power BI desktop, I already said Power Pivot. What is meant by Power Pivot? I already said we'll build the relationship between the table. We'll perform the data analysis by using the data modeling. Power Pivot will establish the relationship between the tables. There is different type of the schemas. So it will become very rare to explain that concept at this demo point of time, because it will create a lot of confusion. In the Power Pivot, where you can analyze that software, where you can analyze this particular data. And next, in the Power BI desktop, we also have Power View. What is meant by Power View? Where you can create your reports, where you can create your visuals. That's why this Power Query, where you perform that ETL software, that's why Power Query is called as ETL software. This is called data analytics software. Power Pivot, we do the analysis. That's why it's called analysis software. With the Power BI, we'll create some important reports. That's why Power View, we call it as a reporting software. That's why they're saying the Power BI desktop is a collection of software. So some 10 to 12 hours of the classes we'll be discussing in the Power Pivot. In the Power Pivot, there is some DAX, where this is the only part where you write some DAX coding, some coding is involved. And they're promoting Power BI. It has a low coding and no coding software. What is meant by low coding? That means we use the coding, which will be very user friendly. It will be not very that much stuff like C, C++ or Java. A simple basic language will be there in case of DAX that you need to understand, which is very important, because the person who is able to understand the DAX, that means he has some expertise in the Power BI. And next 15 hours of the classes will be discussing Power View. Here, Power View will be discussing about how we can create the reports and how we can create some amazing visuals for your client. So that's why here the development process of your reporting is carried out. That's why Power BI desktop, we call it as developmental software. And the next one, we have Power BI service. So the first part is over, like you have prepared the report, you have developed the report. What is the next step? In the Power BI desktop, you have developed the report and your half of the job is done. Now it is your duty to share that report to the client. I assume I have developed the report in my local system by using the Power BI desktop. My next intention is I want to share my report to the client. In order to share the report to the client, we have one cloud-based server called as Power BI service. So it is an online-based platform where you, with the help of this Power BI service, will share the report to your client. So the web-based online Azure cloud-based server, which is useful to share the report to the client, we call it as Power BI service. We will publish the report. In the Power BI desktop, you will develop the report. From the Power BI desktop, you will publish your reports into the Power BI service. From the Power BI service, you will share the report to your client, and client will use that report, and it will helpful for him to make some strategic decisions to improvise his business. If it is a web-based platform, we call it as Power BI service. Sometimes they, and 99.99% we use Power BI service, but there is on-premises server to share report to the client. We call it as Power BI report server. But nowadays, nobody is using this Power BI report server. 99% of 9 companies are using Power BI service to publish their reports and to share the reports to the client. And there is another interesting feature in the Power BI. You need to understand Power BI mobile. What is meant by Power BI mobile? It is nothing but it's a mobile app which helps to view your report in your mobile or in tab or using a tab. So in the mobile, you can see, you can publish the report in your mobile also you can publish, and you can see in the form of app, you can see the reports. So how to create the app that you will be discussing in the Power BI service. So this is the fourth component, Power BI service, and we'll be discussing about 5 to 10 classes on Power BI reports also. How to publish the report, how to share the report to the clients, okay, how to refresh your reports, how to create the incremental refresh. And there are many concepts in the Power BI service. So overall, there will be the your Power BI classes will be divided into 4 parts. Few classes, first 10 hours, you will be discussing 10 to 15 Power Query. Then we move on to the Power Pivot, how you do the analysis and DAX function, building the relationship between the tables. And 10 classes will be discussing about Power View, how to create the reports, and how to publish the report and how to share the report to the clients in the Power BI service. So this is called as how the data analysis will be done by using the Power BI. Now moving on to the next, the very important, the whole demo will be depending upon this particular slide. A person who is able to understand this slide perfectly, then it signifies he has understand the demo. Very, very important, the Power BI architecture. It explains the process of Power BI right from the collecting the data and right from the sharing the data to the client. So when you look at the Power BI architecture, first one, the clients will store the data, will be what is meant by OLTP, the data sources. What is meant by data sources? The place where the client will store the data, we call it as data sources. If it is a small business, they will store in the Excel file. If the data contains more than millions of hundreds of the tables or lakhs of the tables, they might be stored in the database. The database may be SQL Server or it may be Oracle databases. These are the databases where the client will store their business information. So once in the Power BI, this is the Power BI desktop. In the Power BI desktop, with the help of this Power Query, what is meant by Power Query, by the way? It is a ETL software we discussed. The process of connecting the data, extracting means connecting the data. So the data may be unorganized data, right? We'll transform the data into organized format and we'll load the data into the Power Query. So this is called as Power Query, where we'll do the ETL process. So after converting this unorganized data into organized data by using Power Query, you will load the data into Power Pivot. What is the use of Power Pivot? In the Power Pivot, we'll build some relationship between the tables and we'll analyze the data. We'll do the data modeling concepts and we'll try to you'll analyze this particular data. We call it as Power Pivot. So we'll build some relationship we call it a star schema, or we call it a snowflake schema. We'll build some active and inactive relationship between the tables. So those type of the relationship, those type of the data analysis part will be done in the Power Pivot. So once your relationship are established between the tables, then you move on to the Power View. With the help of this data, you will try to create the reports. This component, we call it as Power View. So this reports from the Power View, we create the visuals or reports. These reports contain actionable information. So then you're completing the development of the report is done. This Power BI desktop, that's why we call it as developmental software. So once you get the job, you will be assigned a job called as Power BI developer. What is your duty? That means your duty is to develop the reports. And you will install the Power BI desktop into your system. You will develop the report in the Power BI desktop. That's why you call it as Power BI developer. Now, okay, in the local system, you have installed the Power BI desktop and you have developed the report. And the next, what is the important? Like you need to share the reports, right? You need to share that reports. You need to share it to the client. In order to share the reports, first step, you need to publish the report. There should be some place. There should be area where you can publish the reports, right? So there is a cloud-based platform. We call it as Power BI service, where you can publish the reports into the Power BI service. From here, from the Power BI, it is a web-based platform. Okay. There is another way you can publish your report called as Power BI report server. But 90% for now, they are not using the Power BI report server. And Power BI service is the area, is a place where they will publish the reports with the online Azure-based cloud platform. From here, they will share the report to the client. And client will use that report and he will derive some meaningful information and he will start analyzing this business based upon the report you have provided. This is called as Power BI architecture. It starts, we have this slides will give how we can connect what is data source, how you connect the data source, how you do the ETL transformation by using Power Query, how you do the analysis by using Power Pivot, how will you create the visuals and reports by using Power View, what are the different components of Power BI desktop, what are the different ways you can publish the reports by using the Power BI report server and by using the Power BI service, and which is a cloud-based platform. From here, you can share the reports. These reports are shared to the client. The client will provide the data. This Excel source of data is provided by the client. Like it's like you are looking at the time watch of your client and you are saying the time. It means you are taking the data from the client, analyzing that data, and building the report from that data. And again, you are sharing that report, same report to the client. You can ask me why they are hiring the Power BI developers and what is the need, whether client can directly can analyze the data because they don't have some technical knowledge how to transform the data. And one man can not do all the functions, right? His duty is how to develop his business. He has many things to do. So they will hire the Power BI developers. He will give his data, which is very confidential. You analyze that business data of this particular client, and you will share it to the client in the form of reports by looking at he will go for the next, what is the next step of the business and how to expand his business. So this is called actually the Power BI architecture. You need to understand where the data is coming, how to you to store the data, how to store the data, how the reports are used by the clients, what is data source. This is a broad introduction of the Power BI architecture and hope a person from a very non-technical background is able to understand this Power BI architecture. Next, moving on to process of business flow. Same process, I have put in a different way. The same process diagram. See, SQL, some of the database data sources may be SQL. They are connected to the data source. They have developed the report in your local laptop Power BI desktop. They have published the reports. They are published in the online based platform. And we need to share the report. So in order to publish the report, we need to install some gateways that I will explain in the latter phase of the time how to install the particular gateways. And once you publish these reports, you will share the reports to the clients. The client will be accessing your reports in the form of in the laptop or in the desktop. You can access in case of tab from tab, or you can access this report in the form of mobile. So this is the process flow of Power BI, right from the connecting the data source to sharing the report to the clients and how the clients are using the information by using tab, or you can access the information by using mobile. He can access information through this computer. He can access the information by using this laptop. So this is the general way of how the process flow of Power BI process flow will be. Next, moving on to Tableau versus Power BI. So you might be having a simple question. The Tableau was a market leader initially because a visualization, we have different type of visualization tools, not only Power BI. This Power BI launched in the year of 2017, but it has to picked up. It has got some rapid, fast pace in the market. It is able to beat the competitor, which was the Tableau, which was a market leader, which has enjoyed the dominant position as a Power BI visualization tool. But within the launch of initial 2 or 3 years, it is able to combat, it is able to fight with the Tableau. Now the place, many companies are migrating their reports from Tableau to the Power BI. Initially, we have a ClickSense, but there are some drawbacks with the ClickSense, like it is not that much user friendly. Okay. Now, slowly that position was taken by the Tableau, and the Tableau was a market leader. It was one of the super visualization tool in the market. But now when the Microsoft has launched the Power BI, it is able to beat this Tableau, has been enjoyed the market leader for a lot of years. What is the reason behind it? The first one, integration. See, Power BI is launched in the year of 2017, which was a Microsoft product. You can understand a product which is coming from the Microsoft will carry a lot of weightage. A simple example, when you can quote the Excel, Microsoft Excel, which was launched in the year of 1985, but now we are in the 2024, the 21st century. There is no other tool which was there here which able to combat with the Excel. What is the reason behind? Because they invest in the R&D, they try to improvise the tool. In the 1985, we can see with the Excel, you can only prepare the table. So, but now you can see in the Excel, we can correct Power View. We can do some Power Query transformations are also using the Excel. There are a lot of the features has been adding here. Different types of the versions of Excels are coming. So a product which is coming from the Microsoft, definitely it will be sustained in the market. The reason being, when you look at the Power BI, every month there will be some updates coming from the Power BI. When you look at in the last months, you can go, what are the different type of where you can see the blog in the Power BI. Every month they are updating the tool. Many competitors are failed in the market, not able to compete with the Power BI because the other tools are not constantly innovating at the pace the Power BI is innovating. Yes, Tableau is still innovating, but the innovating phase is not that much rapid. It may be some quarterly wise, it may be some half yearly, but Power BI is bringing it is, and one more we call it as integration with the Microsoft ecosystem. So Power BI, it is seamlessly integrating with all the Microsoft products. We can connect to the Excel, Azure. So a lot of seamless integration for all Microsoft product. That's why the Power BI is taking a rapid pace in the market. You can ask me whether Tableau, whether it can also have integration. Yes, but it requires some additional configuration in order to avail this service. And second, the cost effectiveness. The people that were using of Microsoft Power BI license, we have Pro license. We have different type of the licenses. We have premium per user, premium license. So the cost of using the Power BI is very less when compared to the Tableau. Of course, when the Power BI has a high initial cost, at the end of the business, any company will try to save the cost, right? So the cost effectiveness is very less. The low cost is available with the Power BI. That's why the Power BI is able to beat the Tableau. And third one, what is the use? Because the Power BI is a very easy tool. It has got very user friendly. Okay. It's like some of the people, Power BI, it's like operating a smartphone, or it is like a person who having some basic technical knowledge. It's not like me, you not be an engineering graduate. A person who from a non-technical background can able to build some reports by using the Power BI. So as a client, he may not be that much technical sound to use the reports, but he will try to use a product which is very user friendly, right? And that ease of use is there with the Power BI. That's why the Power BI is able to replace the Tableau in the market. You can see a product which is coming in the 2017 and the 2024, all the companies, maybe from the startup companies, they are migrating their product work into the Power BI. In the many organizations that are, we have 70 to 85 reports which are in the pipeline, and we got an orders that you need to transform. We are able to migrate to the Power BI. Initially, the Power BI entered into the finance. Now, healthcare sector, finance, insurance. animation, every field. You cannot code any field where the Power BI is not in use. If they are using for the visualization in the coming down years, there is the Power BI is going to the market leader. It has proved itself because the rapid surge of the face it has picked up in the last few years. The Power BI is able to beat the competitor in the Tableau. Such innovation features are there with the Power BI. And natural language query. So we have Power BI, we have Power BI Copilot. Just instead of creating the reports in the Excel, you will drag and you will do some lot of manual work, but it is integrating with the AI features. Just you need to type, I want a buy, what is the sales? I want a pie chart of last 5 years. Just type a query. It will create a chart. It will itself create the graph and it will throw you in the report. Such type of natural language query is in there with the Power BI. The Power BI Copilot, which came into the existence with the amazing features. It is able to write some lengthy codes of near about 30 to 50 lines of the code by using the Power BI Copilot. It is writing the formula for yourself. Just you need to understand whether the code is whether to interpret the results. You need to have the basic idea for that. Next one, in terms of security, says you just create a back chart by using the last 3 years sales. It will create the bar chart. Next, security and governance. Power BI, when you why the peoples will be opting for a particular tool, you look at the cost. Cost is not important sometimes. If a tool is providing a low cost, but security wise it is fail, whether you will purchase the product? No, right? Because the world is in the people of cyber security. Even what the people say about something, they are hacking the data from different national security. Data is being stolen. You can see that every day you will be getting the news like your some type of important information is backed by somewhere. Because we are living in the cyber threat and cyber terrorism is a concerning area nowadays. But in terms of security and governance, also Power BI is outperforming the Tableau. That's why this is the reason it has able to be the Tableau. It is able to perform the real-time data analysis because it is able to integrate with a different type of the software. Because when you use the Power BI Copilot, suppose you have the data, just you need to give a query like by using this table, you try to analyze this data, it will give the recommendations. It will create the key findings of your particular data. And those type of advanced features are integrating with the Power BI. See Azure integration because we have Microsoft. Now the Microsoft Fabric came into the picture. It is a one-stop solution. That means instead of for SQL, you need to go to separate, but because it is integrating all the tools, right from the storing the data, right from analyzing the data, right from building the reports, right from sharing the reports, all the services are integrated within a one-stop solution that is called as Microsoft Fabric, which was recently launched in the year of 2023. Now, my ideas, the coming future is for Microsoft Fabric. A person who's having the developing the Power BI knowledge, if he has enough capability to upgrade himself and coming the line of 10 to 15 years with the help of the Microsoft Fabric, and you will be very secure and your job will be very secure and you can, because most of the peoples have like now there is a scarcity of learning the Microsoft Fabric. We can hardly quote the peoples who are have the knowledge of Microsoft Fabric. Learn the Fabric Power BI, try to get the knowledge on Power BI Copilot, try to learn Microsoft Fabric, and you can code 100 to 150%, 200% of the hike based upon that type of the salary you can demand when you are able to upgrade yourself. Now, community learning and resources. What is meant by community learning and resources, my dear? So Power BI has got the Power BI blog where you can have some community group. Suppose if you post a question, so I'm stuck here in my report. In the community group, there many people will be answering your question. They'll give different type of innovative approaches how to tackle this problem. You can ask me, yes, this feature is not there with the Tableau. Yes, my dear, yes, it is there. But it is not that much rigorous. It is not that much active. And we cannot get immediate solution because Power BI community is very active community. That is the reason it is able to outperform the Tableau in the market. Updates and innovation. Yes, the only thing in order to sustain in the market is update and you need to innovate. If you learn to the peoples of Tableau, you are not able to transform your career into the Power BI And my dears, you are at the stake. Any tool which update constantly will be survive in the market for longer years. The only simple reason a tool which was launched in the 1985 in the Excel, but still in 2024, it is sustained in the market. Reason being it is updating. You can see how many versions of Excel came. In the 1 year, you can see your tabs in the ribbon page might be changing because they are innovating, they are updating in any way. It's like we can see in the people's phones. Previously, we'd have the phone also, how many features are coming. It may be in the automobile industry, it may be in the Apple versions also. Why the Apple is also able to sustain the market? Because it is updating. Different types of the versions are coming into the market. The Power BI Microsoft, owing to the greatest R&D team they has, they are constantly innovating the tools. That's why within the launch of only few years, the market, the market is able to capture the data analytics market is captured by the Power BI. Now, still the innovation is going on. Microsoft Fabric, Copilot. Once you're able to learn the Power BI and integrate these things into your mind, Baba, your career is going to outperform well. Take it for granted. Now, why to choose the career BI? We have learned so much of the Power BI. Because why I'm stressing over the Power BI? Because nobody, if you understand any Tableau, such type of informative, you not get any way to the peoples of India. They directly start what is Power Query, and they will start the transformation. But you need to understand the course. You need to understand the course content. What is the each part of the Power BI is doing? And what is the use of learning this particular course? Then it will create some type of the motivating feeling for you. And what is my future of learning this particular course? Why to choose Power BI as a path? It is a high demand tool in the market. Yes, a startup company is having 200 to hundreds of employees, ranging from lakhs of employees. They are using the Power BI. It has entered into the insurance sector. And it is entering now the healthcare sector on the health healthcare sector, Novartis, Sanofi, Aventis, BMS, and the larger big MNC companies, they are using the Power BI. Wonderful job opportunities. It's not only in India. This tool has got the demand all over India. Wonderful job opportunities because right now there is only to the people. You can see any software job. You cannot code any job in the software by learning within the 2 months. You can transform your career. Within the 2 months, you can shift your software career. Can please anyone, if you learn the Python, it will take a lot of technologies involved. Yes, there is demand for Python, but there is a lot of investment, a lot of learning, at least 6 months. You know, go for the SaaS. You know, to come to the SaaS and you know to get that good hold on the SaaS, at least 6 to 7, 8 months of rigorous training is required. To learn the R, to learn any language as Java. Java is an ocean. Still, yes, there is a demand for those tools. But you want to switch your career in the 2 months with the rigorous training that you can undertake. And suddenly you want to shift the course, and the Power BI is the only platform which is available for you to transform your career, my dears. Attractive salary packages. Yes, depending upon experienced persons like Power BI, if you want to integrate Power BI with SQL, with Azure, they are going to who give the salaries near about to 40 to 45 lakhs as well. You can ask a Power BI developer who are still with the Power BI and SQL, they are earning the lakhs of 35 lakh package. But they experience because they don't have, they have some 10 years of experience. They code them has 4 years of 5 years of experience to the Power BI. And 90% of the Power BI developers who are there, they are from the fake experience. Because it launched in the 2017, they are keeping the resumes in and attending the interviews. Interviewer no is from fake, but once you are able to answer the questions which are asked by the interview in a confident manner, definitely he will take you. And when if you have some gap and don't you have experience of 10 years into the Power BI, and you'll be caught at that point of time because a tool was launched in the 2017, Baba, you are keeping 2010 years of experience, then it indicates that you don't have an idea of the Power BI. Now a tool, there is no technical knowledge that is that much required. It is an easy, a low coding tool, only DAX. And now when the artificial intelligence, when Chat GPT, Gemini, and where Copilot came into the existence, and it is writing the code for yourself, Baba. Now what you do, only you want to analyze the data, how the code is transforming. And definitely you have some human mind. because yes, I can make the errors, right? But you need to understand how to use that, how to give the prompts, how I can give the prompts to get results correctly. And those type of the knowledge you need to develop. And Power BI, it is a cloud integration. Yes, you are reporting the building the report in the Power BI service. You are integrating the cloud service. Yes, now world is moving towards the cloud, right? Cloud technology, Azure, Google Cloud, and excellent career growth while shifting the company that you can demand for 100% hike. If you are able to crack the interview with enough confident manner, and getting the 100% hike is not a matter. And I already said it is a user-friendly tool because with the minimum knowledge, a person can use the Power BI and hardly working for 2 hours, hardly working for 2 months, then he can able to transform his career and he can start giving the interview in the Power BI as a 5 years experienced professional. But there is something you need to understand. There is something, Mishap, is going on in the online sector. I got some 4 or 5 messages before starting this demo. So there is some candidate like they are still learning the Power BI in 2 hours, 17 lakhs package. How you can learn the Power BI in 2 hours, man? In the last batches, we have worked for 60 hours. Is Power Query, hundreds of the transformation will be there. At least you need to work for 15 hours in the Power Query. I need to 15 hours for the Power Pivot, 15 hours for creating the reports, 15 hours for how to share the reports. These 60 hours are required, and we can see the dashs in the Amarpet. They are giving some basic ideas. And I'm sorry to say that many students who are took the 2 or 3 coachings in the Amarpet, they are joining the academy and they have not thought given the enough knowledge. We have seen that you can many messages popping like still before the 5 minutes of launch of the sir, they are giving the certification. What is the importance of certification here? If you pay 1,000 rupees, you will get the certification from the Amirpet, from directly Microsoft certified. Certification will not the matter because in the digital era, you can get the fake experience. So if I can provide the certificate, but it will carry no weightage, right? You have certified a Microsoft certified trainer, but you're not asking the basic questions which is posed by the interview, whether he will take you. The answer is always no. But you don't have any certification. You are gone for 2 or 3 technical round. You are able to answer every questions in a very confident manner. And even if your background is different, definitely he will take because it is his business need. And learning for 2 years, like 5 years, 5 hours Power BI, like 5 hours, you can't learn the Power BI, right? It's not like making the, they go for the Power View, they will get the data, you create the pie chart and bar chart, and Power BI is over. That is only Power View where a 10th class kid or 5th class kid can prepare the reports. That is not the visualization. Creating the graphs is not visual. Understand the data. In the real time, you will be working on the data, which will be work on the millions of rows, thousands of rows. That means at least, for my opinion, at least of 15 to 60 hours is very essential in order to get the good old on Power BI. And coming to the Power BI course with Excel and the Power BI course with the SQL. So this Power BI course here, this is the old slide. Actually, your batch will be commencing from next weekend. Like I will be starting the course with Power BI SQL. So how the batch will be like, actually we have seen the pamphlet. We are running for the 2 batches, right? And the morning batch is like 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. batch 1, 6 to 7. We have the batch 2. And most of the people were hiring from the background who are from the employers on the demand of this particular employees. We have planned it for the weekend batch. The weekend batch time is also mentioned there. So it will be 2.5 hours or 2 hours of the classes. So it's very simple. If you join the day batch for 5 days, you will get 5 hours. But when you join the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, I'll be handling with the 5 hours. So when you go join the weekend batch, when you join in the day batch, the syllabus will go at the very same pace. There is no difference. They'll get 5 hours in 5 days. You will get the 5 hours in Saturday and Sunday. That will be in the morning hours. So the focus will be from the basic level to advanced. We start from the basic level. A person who is having, he may be from BCom, he may be from any background like BSc, he may be back from BDS, he may be from any technical background can understand because we start from the scratch and will go at very advanced level, like a 5 years of experience candidate, a real-time experience. That is my bird. That is my risk. It's like a job-oriented coaching. Like we'll provide the coaching like a we'll give the information like while understand like how after completing of each and every topic on that particular session, I will be posting 10 or 15 questions right away because we have started in the I will show in the rapid revision program, which has learned which we have successfully completed in the last batch. After completing the each and every class, we'll be providing the questions like common interview questions. And next one, interview guidance will be provided. How to attend, how to focus on interview because we are conducting the mock interviews. Like in the last batch also, we have provided the mock interviews for the different people. And there will be practice session. We'll give some assignments to complete in time. And we'll conduct some end-to-end project executions, like any 2 or 3 projects, maybe insurance from banking after completing of the course. So you need to develop the report and share it to us. And if any necessary improvements are there in the particular report, and we will be sharing with you so that you can be equipped with the real-time experience. So a special focus will be there on non-technical students and science background students. And only the fear might be there, like whether we are able to pursue with the Power BI course, because myself, I am from a non-technical background, but I am able to transfer because many people like in the Power BI, near about 50 to 60% are from the non-technical background. They are not the engineering graduates. So it's not nothing with the qualification. So any non-technical guy can learn the Power BI. So we'll provide the free learning materials of the completion of the class. We'll provide the recording to you, which have 1 year access. We'll providing the soft notes, the soft copy for each and every after recording the copy. After we'll provide a soft copy for the material. A running notes of the provided will be provided so that you can relate the contents of the class with the running notes. And the recording will be there until the 1 year of access. You will be providing the access to the recordings so that if you have any doubt that you can go back and you can listen the recording again. And if you encounter any problems while doing the job, so that recordings will be helpful for you to crack some important scenarios where you can face while working the job in the real time. See, this was the important slide, which I was in the last batch. We have not discussed the Power BI Copilot. I already said what is Power BI Copilot. It is like a smart assistant. It helps to use like even you don't have anything idea on data analysis, just you need to give a query test function. Like it will give the charts, like it understand what you ask in a plain language. So I want the report, like I want the bar chart of this and this categories. So by understanding that plain language, it will create the reports and it will create some insights for you. And that's what is the use for this Power BI? It save a lot of time, right? In order to manually analyze the data, in order to create the reports, and in order to create the insights from it, it was a very hectic task. But just by giving a simple prompt, simple query in a very layman language of plain language, and Power BI Copilot will be going to increase, will give the results. See, this is the use of the Power BI Copilot. So it helps to, what is the use? It helps to create the reports very easily. So a simple question you can ask, show me sales of last 6 months and get a chart. So it will analyze the last 6 years, say 6 months sales, and it will create the chart and it will prepare the chart for you and it will show it to you. But what happens if you do want to do in the Tableau or if you want to do in the Excel, you need to select X-axis, you need to go and you need to manually select the chart. It will take a lot of time for you, but Power BI Copilot will save the time. It will create the chart automatically. You can ask the questions in the plain language. So when you give in the last, we have the years, we have 40 to 50 products, then you can ask a simple question. What is the best selling product last year? It will analyze all the products which are there in the list and it will give you, this is the best selling product in the last years. And if you want to represent in the graph, it will provide the graph and show it to you. And it will cite some important insights also. You will give some data. In the sudden data from 2014 to 18, some 2017 sudden dip of the sales is there. Suppose if you want to analyze business data from 2014 to 20, if you want to analyze the data, definitely in the 2019 and 20, there will be a lot of dip in the sales. Why? Because of COVID, right? Business are shut down. So when such type of dip or some type of drastic difference is there, The Copilot highlights the sudden sales and it will analyze that trend and it will give some beautiful insights for you. If you give a query, analyze that particular data. You can do it manually, but when handling the lot of data, it will take a lot of time. Just by giving the simple prompts in a plain language, Power BI is analyzing the data. It can analyze the millions of the records. It will clean and prepare the data. Suppose your data is there are a lot of duplicates in your data. Just you give a query, fix the date format. That means your data is not stored in organized format. If you ask to fix your date format in a logical manner, it will fix the data. If your data contains the duplicates, just give a simple query, remove the duplicates. It will remove the duplicates for you. So it will saves a lot of time. Create a weekly report and it will automatically it will analyze the sales of last week and weekly report will be created and it will show in your dashboard. So it will save a lot of time by using the Power BI Copilot. Everything it is doing for you like a chatbot. Like quick insights, it will derive some quick insights for you. Like if you want to analyze the data, I want some quick insights of how the sales are performing. It will analyze your particular data and it will throw you the results. And those information will be very valuable for the client in order to improve his business. That is called as Power BI Copilot, which was launched very recently. So that's why if you learn the Power BI, I expect like someone to learn to apply. In recent interviews, like they're asking whether have you gone to the Power BI Copilot. 99% are saying no, I'm still not. But once you learn the Power BI, yes, I have knowledge on Power BI Copilot, and if you're able to what the information that I have showed, you will ask a simple question: how Power BI Copilot is useful. Then if you quote some this 5 or 6 point, then it will create some a positive vibe among the interview. Yes, this guy is constantly innovating. He has some desire to learn what is going in the Power BI. He has some learning attitude is there. Definitely the chance of selection will be very high. And the next one, Microsoft Fabric. The Microsoft Fabric, this is the recent features which was introduced by the Microsoft Fabric, like Power BI, like Microsoft. It is a one-stop solution. That means previously for data analysis, because Microsoft offers the opportunity. It is a data platform that brings together all the tools needed for the data management. So this Microsoft Fabric, it allows you to collect the data, store the data. You convert the unstructured data into structured data. It will analyze the data. It will create the visuals from the data, and it will manage the large amount of information. So it is one-stop solution. Because it combines Microsoft Fabric will combines all the tools like Power BI. It will combine the cloud-based Azure Synapse for data store, for data analytics, and for data integration service. That means you don't need to separate platform for each task. Previously, for each task for performing, you are depending upon some different platforms. But now Microsoft is coming to it, will taking all the tools into a one umbrella, and it is forecasting it as a Microsoft Fabric. You can do everything at one place, which was introduced in 2023. I request everyone you joining this our classes will show some give importance on Microsoft Fabric. Once you are able to understand this micro fabric, your career is secure for coming 10 to 15 years. This is the types of the different type of the reports you have, like this type of the reports you can prepare. So this is how to Power BI desktop and technical concepts. I will be discussing the next time. So coming to the peoples of hope you have understand the demo, like what exactly the Power BI, what is Power Query, how the Power BI architecture is there, what is Power BI Copilot, what is Microsoft Fabric, what is the importance for learning the Power BI. So this type of, at least at the end of session, if you're not from any technical background or non-technical, you need to understand these things in order to pursue the career in Power BI. Because most of the people saying that like Power BI, it will not, the tools, the dynamic will not change in a Tableau, which was there in the market. If you are into the Power BI, you can say future is computer will come, will replace the Power BI. Yes, they might come. But instead, they are predict the computer now itself and they are innovating the tool by launching the new additions. That's why learning the Power BI, your career will be going to be very safe. And because this tool is constantly innovating, that as earlier said many times.